Well, it's another day here in paradise. It's Monday. We just finished a closing that was supposed to take place on Friday. Our office represented the buyer. The transaction was being conducted by an attorney-owned title company here in town. Our client was buying a condo located on the Intercoastal. So on Friday, our client tendered funds and all required buyer documents, but it didn't close on Friday because the seller defaulted. The seller failed to deliver the deed and other documents. Granted, the documents were hung up somewhere between Memphis and Boca due to a FedEx issue. And although this was going to make for considerable inconvenience for our client, rather than make a big deal out of the default, I proposed waiving the default and extending the closing to Monday. At least that way, we would have documentation of buyer performance and clearly keep the seller focused. The title company dictated the preparation of the extension to the listing agent, but when it got to me, I noticed that it came without an adjustment in the prorations, which meant that my buyer was going to be denied access to the condo over the weekend, but be required to pay for the cost of carrying the condo over the weekend. That didn't set well with me, but I thought, well, perhaps it was just an oversight on the part of the title company or listing agent. So I called the title company, and they said, oh, our client didn't want to make any or take any less on the closing proceeds. So wait a minute here, I'm thinking, you're a title company, you're supposed to be a neutral party. Yeah, it's only $313, but it's both the principal and it's just not fair to my buyer. So after drawing the title company's attention to the inequities as well as the fact that the seller was in default, we got the addendum corrected. Next, when the title company sent over the final title commitment with markup this morning, they slipped in a sovereignty land exception, which is basically an out for the title company should the state of Florida ever try to reclaim the property, because the condo was built on filled lands that were once navigable waterways. The state of Florida would not have to pay the landowner for repossessing their sovereignty land, and the title company would not have to pay my client under the title insurance policy because of the exception. So I said, whoa, wait a minute here. There's a real problem here, and that really raises a question of marketable title. We objected, we got the exception deleted, and only then did I authorize disbursement. This is a classic example of a sheep in wolf's clothing, an attorney-owned title company not being neutral and trying to skew things in favor of their secret client to the disadvantage of the party not paying the title premium. I don't know how this isn't an unfair trade practice and might even be considered fraud, but that's for another day. Bottom line is this: we got it closed and protected our client. So there we have it, just another day here in paradise.